It's words about books. Ben, it's back to school month, I guess. So, voted on by the patrons. The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. We all know it. It's got Captain Ahab. It's got that white whale. The revenge narrative. What do you think, Ben? How are you? How are you liking this book?
Did you read the wrong book again? Are you talking about Moby Dick?
I don't think I'm talking about Moby Dick. There's an old man. There is the sea. There's a whale that he was hunting in said sea.
There was no whale.
There was a white whale, Ben.
That's Moby Dick.
I don't think that's right.
I'm questioning if you actually did the reading, which is very in the spirit of back to school. Not sure you did the summer reading, though. If you did read Moby Dick, you went way out of your way, because The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway is like 90 pages.
No, I actually did read The Old Man in the Sea. That was a test for all you people out there who are definitely reading along with us. If you thought that there was a white whale in there, you failed. You have to write us a new paper.
That would be a solid true and false question. Or like even multiple choice. I bet you get a couple of kids. Like, you're like, what kind of fish did the old man catch? A white whale. B, a tuna. C, a marlin. D, a
Nemo.
fourth kind of fish. Oh gosh. Okay, so The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. So I'll tell you the truth. I'm a bookman, right? You know, I read a lot of books, more than most, I think. I've never read Ernest Hemingway before in my life.
I don't think I have either.
I know not a ton about him. I didn't really look him up for this one either, because I assume most of the audience probably knows more about him than I do. I'll list for you the facts that I have absorbed through cultural osmosis. He was something of a man's man.
Nice.
He feels very Ron Swanson to me. I feel like this is a guy who enjoys whiskey and cigars, and he's just a no nonsense kind of man who has like
Damn.
just this peaceful like relationship with the world, partially through nature, partially through his own anger. He's just sort of come up with some philosophy that makes it all work. And then the only other thing I know is that he shot himself with a shotgun or something.
What?
Yeah, I guess he was in a lot of pain towards the end of his life, and he just took himself out.
Oh yeah, he did do that. Damn.
Yeah. I'm familiar with a little bit of The Old Man and the Sea's plot. I'm going to play a couple of clips as we go through the episode. I'm going to probably play a clip right now that gives the best summary I had of the book before reading it.
All right, did you read the book?
See?
What was it about? In case our teacher asks us.
He starts there's the old man, and his job is to catch the fish. So he get in the boat to try and catch the fish. So he catch the fish, but the fish is very strong, so the old man cannot reel in the fish. Then he fight the fish some more, and he finally catch the fish.
He catches the fish so then he can make money.
No, because on the way home, the sharks come and eat the fish, and so he no make money.
Which is the South Park episode where the children have to do a book report, and they hire a few Mexican immigrants at the Home Depot to do the book report for them, and the book moves the migrant workers to tears, and they just give what I would consider an accurate summary of the book, which is like, the old man goes out to catch a fish, but in the end he doesn't catch the fish and he doesn't get any money.
It's a metaphor for fishing, Ben.
Do people read this in school?
I have no idea.
I do have a notion that this is assigned reading, but I feel like maybe the only time I personally saw it assigned was in college.
Yeah, I don't remember it in high school, but I also didn't read anything in high school. So
No, I mean we've talked about that many times on Words About Books. We never did the assigned reading. I did see it assigned in college. I think. Well, do you want to give a summary first?
an old man, he's been trying to fish for, what is it, 84 days at this point, or is it 82?
Yeah,
It's 84.
he's like 84 days going out to sea every day without catching a fish.
He's unlucky. He normally
Yeah,
has
for sure.
a Robin to his Batman, the boy. But
My ass can catch a fish in 84 days.
yeah, that's why the boy's parents are like, nah, you're going with a different fishing vessel because this old man's unlucky. He can't catch shit. So, and this isn't the first time it's happened. He had another streak of like almost 3 months where he finally broke it. But it's looking like he's just unlucky. But he's going to go out further than he's ever gone. He's going to catch a fish. Does Ben. He hooks the biggest fucking fish. Maybe a little too big. the fish pulls him out to sea, far away. This is Havana, Cuba, and he no longer sees the shoreline. He's just pulled all the way out by this fish.
Yeah, I believe it's pulling him out into the Atlantic, like southeast.
Yeah,
He's gonna,
it's a battle of
if
wills.
he goes out into the middle, he's in trouble.
Yeah, it's a battle of wills. Eventually, that fish is going to tire with a hook in its mouth, but it doesn't seem to be retiring. It doesn't seem to be tiring right now, or retiring, whichever you take your preference.
This isn't a Joe Biden fish.
This old man is also not allowed to retire, apparently, and so
I did, while reading this, make a joke about the old man and the presidency. You may laugh.
yeah, he's retiring after he failed to catch a fish. They were like, you gotta step
You know the
down.
difference between Joe Biden and Santiago? Santiago would never cut the fish loose. He'd have harpooned Donald Trump in the face. And then every shark that came after him, he'd have stabbed, beat, clubbed, and punched.
And then he would have claimed that was part of his special presidential immunity given to him by the Supreme Court. So really,
And then he and Joe DiMaggio would have run off into the sunset.
goddamn right. So finally, he gets this fish. It's a struggle, but eventually he gets this fish, and he ties it to the side of his skiff.
The fish is 2 feet
Too
longer than his boat.
big for his boat. So,
He may have had no reason whatsoever to even try to reel this fish in.
He even comments that I kind of fucked us both over, fish. I'm sorry. I never should have gone out this far. I never should. I dreamed too big, and now he's got this fish lashed to his boat, and that's when the sharks start coming.
Yeah, the fish last year is so. When you catch one of these giant ocean fish, this isn't like you're catching trout in the Susquehanna back home. You know, this is like you have to kill this thing. Like you have to stab it.
Yeah,
You catch it, you bring it close to you, and then you shoot it with a harpoon,
yeah.
which he has done. And then he pulled the harpoon like all the way through its head. And as you might expect, there's just a cloud of blood in the water. Cloud of blood from a giant flailing fish.
That's when the sharks come, and he harpoons a shark, and then he loses his harpoon. He ties his knife to one of his paddles and uses that as a makeshift harpoon, and kills a whole bunch of sharks before it breaks. He
Kills a mako shark, kills a thresher shark,
but eventually
beats another thresher shark to death with the oar.
Eventually, he's all out of clubs, harpoons, knives, and presumably fists. And
He's using his boat steering wheel at one point. He could die if he doesn't have that thing. And I know it's not a steering wheel. It's a stick that turns the flappy bit. I'm not an ocean-going man. I live in a landlocked state.
That is the nomenclature. The flappy bit,
Yeah,
that is
the
what they
flappy
call it.
bit.
I would know
Yeah,
as someone who is in an even more landlocked state.
it's yeah, it's a process.
So, but the sharks do escape with little bits here and there until finally he's out of everything, and they come and they basically pick the carcass clean. He finally manages to wash up on shore. I think he's got the head and like a comical skeleton, like this is SpongeBob SquarePants or something.
He's got the head and the tail and a bit of spine connecting it.
Yeah, and they measure it. The fishermen there are like, this is like the biggest fish we've ever seen. It sure would have been awesome if you know, if you got it back here, but you know. And the old man, he lost Ben. The end.
He collapses. So what you've undersold, I think, is the relationship between the man and the boy.
The
I think
boy,
that got a
boy's
little
just
lost
there.
in your
You know,
summary.
the boy, not as important as the fish. That
I
fish
think
was
the
his
boy is
enemy.
absolutely as
That
important
fish
as the
was his
fish.
enemy, but also he grows to respect it. And he's like, "I'm sorry, fish. I've got to kill you though. Like this is our destiny. We are locked in this struggle. And though I respect you, I will kill you and bring you back home to be stripped and sold."
Okay, so the boy. The boy, as you said, is somebody who used to go out with him. This old man basically taught the boy how to fish. And when we say the old man is like in his 80s.
Yeah.
And
He's
the
not he's
physical
not hanging around trying to get with underage girls like Memories of My Melancholy Horrors old man does. This guy's
Oh
working.
Jesus, I thought you were talking about American Gods.
I actually thought the same
Okay.
thing. That's why I needed to clarify exactly who I was talking about.
Exactly. God, writers. I don't it's a weird bunch. They either tell you their weirdness up front or it gets even weirder than you ever could have imagined. Uh so the boy yeah, his family tells him to go with a different boat because you don't bring back fish, you don't make money. And these people are living in absolute poverty. The old man lives in a shack. He sleeps on a pile of newspapers. He's barely feeding himself. Often he just goes without food. And the boy sort of looks out for him. The old man's family is all gone. His wife has passed. I don't think he mentions any children. And the only person making sure this guy survives basically is the boy, who is never named. I don't think he's just the boy.
No, Wikipedia named him, but I don't think they ever named him.
I don't think he says his name. Maybe the name is mentioned somewhere, but the old man always thinks of him as the boy. And the boy, the respect he has for this old man is very endearing and sweet. And he wants to go out with the old man. He's like, look, we brought in a bunch of fish. I can go out with you. Let me go out with you. Let me make sure you have decent bait. Let me at least try to set you up for success. And he gets him coffee. He gets him all this stuff. And the old man is too proud. He doesn't want this help, but he like grudgingly accepts it. And they have a really interesting relationship. I think, I don't know, you could spend a lot of time dissecting what's going on there, but like the book itself is really, really simple in terms of plot. It is exactly as you said, other than emphasizing the relationship with the boy. Like,
Oh boy, I just realized. Don't worry, Ben. They will not be dirt poor in about 7 years.
I knew you were going to mention the communists at some
7 years, the Fidel Castro shows up, and just everything is better for everyone forever. Right? That's what happens.
Well, I mean, the Bay of Pigs probably wasn't like the CIA probably wasn't going to make things any better for him. I'll tell you the truth.
No, we would have done what we always do: overthrow one dictator for a different dictator who likes us.
Until he doesn't, and then we pay his enemies to fight him
Yeah, that's called politics, Ben. I don't know.
in a never-ending series of wars that absolutely destroy the life and economy of a region because we didn't know the first thing about it other than it had a location or a resource we kind of wanted but didn't want to pay full price for.
Yeah, that's called politics and economics. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't know why you're talking about it in such a negative light. You're making it sound like this is a bad thing that we're destroying lives for bananas or whatever.
The story is like super simple. It's really just about this old man catching this fish, but it's written in a way that I don't know how you're going to feel about this. And a lot of the time I was reading this, I was like, I don't know if Nate's going to like this. I actually really liked
Yeah, you
it.
gave it 5 stars on Goodreads.
I did. There was something I found really captivating.
You were like those
about the
Mexicans
writing.
at Home Depot in South Park. You heard the story and you broke down in tears.
I didn't break down in tears, but like I feel like I got it. I
I
feel like
I also agree with your Goodreads, where as a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old, I would not have gotten it.
no, not at all.
I'd be like, why am
So-
I having to read this stupid, boring story about a guy and a fish? I get it. He's old.
So intellectually, and I said this, I'll tell you a little bit about what's in that Goodreads review if you don't follow me on Goodreads. Intellectually, I think if I was assigned this to read in high school, I would have I would have understood what Ernest Hemingway was trying to do. I would have understood that this is a portrait of an old man. It's a character study of an old man who has worked his whole life. He takes a lot of pride in his work. A lot of his identity is tied up in his work, and he's in his 80s, and he can't be out rowing a boat all day, hauling in 500-pound fish. You know, it's just not going to be a doable thing for him anymore. But he doesn't have anything left. There's no family. There's no retirement. There's no money. He has no choice but to keep going out in this boat every day and doing his best. And it's humiliating. And he hates it. And when he gets but he's too proud to even admit he hates it because he's got the boy. The boy looks after him. And I think he feels like he owes it to himself, to the boy, to anybody who ever put faith in him to go bring in this fish. And when he hooks this impossibly huge fish, it would be phenomenally stupid for him to try to bring in a 15-foot marlin.
But god damn it.
There's just something that like snaps in his brain where he's like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. I'm
And
either
he
this
nearly
fish
kills
is gonna
himself.
die or I'm gonna
Yeah.
die.
He says that.
Yeah.
In that moment, he believes it. He's like, either I bring in this marlin, either I kill it or it kills me, and I'm fine with it either way. He's like, I'm going to die soon no matter what. I might as well die proving I've got what it takes. Like, there's something spiritual to him about the struggle. Like, he and the marlin are he calls it his brother. He views them as like both just cogs in this cosmic machine. Like, it's the circle of life. Like, this is the way it is. This is the way it always has been. This is the way it always will be. I fight him. He fights me. The best man wins. And I don't know. There's just something like, if I was 15, I still would have understood that he was trying to say all that. He was trying to say something about old age, and you would have heard a version of Ben on this podcast saying like, I understand it, but it's just so stupid. And there's a lot of reviews about like the toxic masculinity of it all, but I don't think it is toxic masculinity. I know like Ernest Hemingway has a reputation for being kind of toxically masculine. I don't know if that's accurate. I already said like I only know secondhand things
He's
about this.
got a mustache that is glorious.
He's got a full beard in the one I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But I think now that I have a few decades under my belt, I'm creeping up on 40.
Oh my god.
I don't have children. I could wind up in the same situation as this old man. Now, granted, Nothing I do is as impressive as this old man. I don't know what the 15-foot marlin of podcasting is.
That would be 10,000 subs.
10,000 subs. do I find myself like lashed to a boat with ropes digging into my back in some sort of Mr. Beast fucking dystopian competition where I either
Yes.
die or I get the Beast Burger? Um, the world is dumber than it was, but it's a relatable tale. I think I'm not quite an old man yet, but I definitely got a lot more out of this at 36 than I would have at 15 or even 25. I get why the old man does what he does, and I found myself really identifying with the old man and really rooting for him. Like I know and I can't explain. And I think that's kind of where I wound up at like 5 stars with this is like I can't explain why the old man did what
I'm
he
reading
did.
a 1-star review where they're like, just get over it and cut your line and go home and go to McDonald's. What was he supposed to do? He
There is no
literally, yeah,
McDonald's.
he
He
literally
doesn't
can't
have a dollar to
live.
his name. He
Yeah,
sleeps on a pile of
yeah.
newspapers.
He survives only because of the charity of the boy, or if he manages to catch fish.
Everything he
I agree.
is.
He probably is like, I either get this fish and break my unlucky streak, or fuck it, let's just call it quits here. I'm done.
Yeah, like everything he is wrapped up in this struggle. And like I don't know why he didn't cut the line. He doesn't know why he didn't cut the line. I don't think Ernest Hemingway even 100% understands why he didn't cut the line. But I think we can all see ourselves doing the exact same thing. Like I think that's the thing. Like intellectually, logically, I don't know why he didn't cut the line. Emotionally, I 100% know why he didn't cut the line, and I can't explain it. The best way to explain it is to just tell the old man's story, and you either get it or you don't get it.
Worst book ever. Just throw the fucking fish back in. Fuck. This filed under school forced me to read it.
That would have been me 100%. I totally like I totally get people giving that review. I totally get it. At a certain point as you age, and maybe perhaps several little points as we age, and we all make fun of it, but it's true. Like it's not fair. And it kind of sucks and it's kind of cruel that our minds basically stay the same if we're lucky. But until you start experiencing some serious cognitive decline, like there's not a huge difference in how you think about yourself or how you think in general between like 36 and 16. But like you're just painfully aware of the decay of your body and the wear and tear and all this stuff. And I think that's what the old man's dealing with. And it's like he's lived his whole life best he could. There's even a flashback where he was in an arm wrestling competition once where to show that he was once a strong man, that he once was one of the boys. He was like one of the strongest, one of the best. And time grinds us all down in the end, and now he's the joke. He's the joke crazy old man with a stupid little boat who can't catch a fish, relying on the charity of some kid who would be better off if he was just dead. And that's why the old man has to do it. He's like, I'm either bringing in this fish and proving I'm still worth it, or it's my time to die.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just I like
Yeah.
it. I read another.
What else is he gonna
another
do? Oh, I guess that's just 85 days that I'm a loser. Great.
Yeah, he has to. And the way he does it, I mean, like, and he just leaves everything on the like. I hesitate to say it this way, but like for me, this story is like if I could compare it to when I was 16, This is why I watched like Dragon Ball Z when I was 16. You watch those characters just get the shit beaten out of them. Cut up, killed, blasted, burned, everything. All for that one moment where like they just don't give a shit anymore. They snap. They go Super Saiyan. They beat the hell out of every shark they see. And then it's all just done. And like there's no thought for survival. Planet Namek is blowing up and he's just stabbing sharks and beating them with oars.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care. And it's like there's just like that there's something in that raw emotion. Like I feel like for old men this book is their Frieza saga.
Oh my god.
Or to explain it to children these days. This is Gear 5 for old men.
Fuck is
Okay,
Gear
this
5?
is Luffy becoming Joy Boy, all right?
Oh.
One Piece is a current anime. And it's about people on boats. So you guys are going to relate to this real great. I'm I'm with it. So yeah,
I'm not
this
old
old-
yet. You're old.
when this old man harpoons that Mako, that's Gear 5. And then when he's beating Thresher sharks to death, that's just like, oh my god. But yeah, I don't know. I really like the way he wrote. I heard, and this is something like, this is venturing into unsighted territory, but
No, we were here first.
I heard,
I'm pretty sure.
no, well, I mean, like they would know what this means, but I heard that this book marked like a stylistic change in modern literature. I don't know, something about the way this was told, just the detailed description of the actions of just ordinary tasks and stuff like that. He won a Nobel Prize in literature.
Yeah.
Not just for this, but in part for this. And it's short, Nate.
Yeah.
It's
That's
short.
why I voted for it.
If this had been
pushed for it, I should say.
If this had been 20 pages longer, it would have sucked. But it wasn't. He stopped. He wrote a 90-page novel. That doesn't even make sense. But he just, like, it's as long as it needs to be. And I could totally see when you're a kid, you watch that old man, he gets back with a skeleton, he goes to sleep, the boy brings him coffee again, the boy makes sure his boat's looked after, and everybody's like, shit, Santiago did it. I mean,
he did.
Kind of sucks. And
like,
well, like, and everybody the boy meets is like, man, tell him I'm sorry. Like, that's rough. That's rough to have that happen, man. And like, but he did it. That's the point. Like, he caught that fish, and I don't know if Santiago is going to be okay. I don't know if Santiago is going to go back out on the boat again and not catch a fish or whatever. But that's the point. Like, he even mentions in the story, he's like, I proved myself so many times before, and that doesn't matter because I need to prove myself again today. And I was like, God, I could totally see that being on some Jim Bros fucking like platitudes board or like some poster with that. Like, there is something just unapologetically, stupidly masculine about this book. And I kind of like
that's
it.
why it's gotta go.
But I actually am going to say, I don't think it's toxic masculinity, because I think Santiago's cool. I just compared him to Goku.
But he might die, so it's toxic. Again,
well, I think
what does he have to live for? Everyone he knows and loves is gone except for the boy, and his life sucks, and he knows it sucks. So he's like, this is it. If I can't win here, it's my time. I'm done.
I think his relationship with the boy
softens
it. I think if it were toxically masculine, he'd be showing off or something. But I think this is between him. This is between, if I may say the title of the book in the episode, this is between the old man and the sea. This isn't about society. This isn't about, because he loves the boy and the boy loves him. And that is male affection. Like, I don't think there's anything toxic about their relationship at all. The boy does not want him to do this. He knows the boy doesn't want him to do this. And many times during the agonizing process of catching this fish, he wishes the boy were here to help him.
Yeah.
And he thinks about how stupid he was for not bringing the boy with him. And I think he, like, there, I don't think it's toxic. I really think this is between an old man and a personified body of water.
Yeah.
And today, the old man, we'll call it a draw.
We'll call it a draw.
He didn't win, but he didn't lose. And that's the important thing.
Caught that fish, but the sea cheated by sending just a wave after wave of shark after him.
Yeah, there's a, I felt kind of bad at the beginning of the book when he's like talking about the shark finning factory and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh God, things were worse back then. But then when you see those sharks coming up, you're like, yeah, fuck those sharks.
Yeah, I'm going to fin all of you. Let's go take a trip to the factory, boys.
This book, I actually love sharks.
You would.
I mean, honestly, like, just as an animal, I don't want to be in the water with them at all. But I love that they're there, and I think they're awesome animals. I don't think they should die, but like, that's the power of this story, when it's like, I almost always root for the shark. Like, the people who cut the fins off sharks and throw them back in the water, if a shark eats them, I'm there. Every time a deer gets a hunter, I kind of cheer. I always root for the underdog.
The hunter, he basically, that's cheating. You gotta go with bow, arrow, or spear, all right, or a knife. Guns like too easy.
You do bow hunt. You do bow hunt in Pennsylvania. We have bow season.
There you go. Then at least it's fair-ish.
Well, you still hide in a tree and wait for them to walk by. They don't even know you're there before they're dead. But there is a lot of skill in, like, if you're hunting with a bow, getting the kill is quite hard. You can maim a deer pretty easy. But they can run quite a ways while bleeding. But there's nothing, I don't know. I don't particularly care for fishing. I don't know anything about fishing.
Wow.
And just hearing about him, like, tying the ropes and everything, like, Hemingway, first off, I feel like I learned a ton about old-timey fishing reading this book, because he describes every step of the process.
Yeah. He knew his stuff.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say, or do you want to bust out the rubric?
Let's bust out the rubric.
I actually already had it done in advance, because I was leaning towards 5 stars when I wrote that Goodreads review. And I was like, I don't want to have another, like, Pendragon moment.
blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja.com/rubric. Content and ideas, Ben.
I went with a 4.
Yeah, I'd say a 4.
I mean, it's tough to say, like, original idea when he's literally just describing a guy fishing. But, like, I've never seen a guy fishing described like this. So,
yeah. Take that,
I
Goodreads reviews.
actually read a thing there. I think somebody wrote it in one of the Goodreads reviews. Is that Ernest Hemingway, I guess, has said that there is no metaphor here. The old man is an old man. The fish is a fish. The boy is a boy. And I guess that's a thing people like to do, is read way too deep in it. I agree with Hemingway. I don't think it needs to be more than that.
That's why I picked this as one of our picks. So I was going to do a jokey joke about and just make up my own metaphor, but I didn't do that. That required a lot more thought. We all know it's about capitalism anyway. Organization, Ben.
I went with a 5.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Also because it's short. Also because it doesn't seem like there's anything that I would trim.
There's nothing I would trim, and there's nothing I would add. I don't want to know what happens when Santiago wakes up.
You don't want the old man in the sea 2? Santiago's Revenge.
The Old Man in the Sea 2, Santiago's Revenge. Sounds like a book we should write. There may be a Patreon bonus in there somewhere. But no, that will be terrible, and it will be blasphemy to a great work of literature.
All right, word choice, Ben.
I said 5.
Yeah, I couldn't decide between a 5 and a 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's not poetry. Like, it's not fancy in the way Neil Gaiman's fancy. It's not fancy in the way like, oh, I don't know, Lord Byron's fancy. But it is, the language is at the level it needs to be at to convey the humanity of these people. It's from the perspective of the old man. The old man is not a complicated man. The old man is not a linguist, nor is the boy. These are fishermen. They're humble, poor people with little education, and their struggles are just human struggles. And the language they use is simple, blunt, and effective. And I think that's exactly what the story needed.
All right, personal preference.
5. I was surprised.
Yeah, I don't think there's any elements that didn't work for me. I think I could say a 5.
I was shocked. I was certain I would find this boring.
Me too. Boring, but only like 90 pages, so.
So I was worried around the time he hooks the fish. I thought this was going to go on and on and on. And then it pulls him out to sea, He's eating his lunch. He's drinking his water bottle. And then the next day. And then the next day. And instead of it getting boring, I was like, he's going to die out here.
Yeah, that was my thought too. The old man is going to become one with the sea. That's how this ends.
Yeah, like really not knowing how the story ends. All I knew was that South Park episode where they're like, he doesn't make the money. And I was like, wait, does he not make the money because he's dead? Like is Santiago going to die? And like at any point I was like, realistically, he could die. And then once he lashes it to the boat and the first shark comes, you're like, oh. And even he's like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yep.
And he's just talking to the fish, and he's just like, now this is the part where I think the toxic masculine elements, like, I think that criticism is kind of not valid, because as soon as he catches the fish, as soon as he lashes it to the thing, as soon as the shark attacks, he's like, this was really stupid. He has that moment of instant regret. And I don't know. Now I'm like, what's he going to do when he gets back to shore? Is any of the fish going to be left? Is anyone even going to know he did this? Is the whole fish going to get ripped away? Is this going to be a pathetic fisherman's tale where he's like, I hooked a fish bigger than my boat? And I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time. But again, if I was 15,
you would tell him to just go to a McDonald's.
Yeah, just go to a McDonald's, you idiot.
Yeah. Everyone has access to a McDonald's. In the 60s in Cuba, in a small fishing town. Dumb shit. God.
I guess they missed the part where he literally is sleeping on old newspapers.
They must have missed the part where there's only one person in this entire world that is still alive who cares for him enough to make sure he doesn't starve to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would also, at that point in my life, be like, well, I'm either getting this fish or like, I guess I'll die. Or I guess you can go to the McDonald's.
Well, I guess this sort of bleeds into recommendation strength.
Oh, that's a little harder. I couldn't say a 5 because it's not going to be for everyone. I would either say a 3 or 4. Probably Probably a 4, because it's short enough that if you're not going to like it, I mean, obviously put it down, but if it's something that might interest you, it's quick enough. Give it a shot. I think I could go as high as a 4, but I couldn't go to a 5 because of just how many people there are who will whine nonstop
Yeah.
about the McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably guess from that Goodreads review I wrote that I was also between a 3 and a 4, because I think there's a significant chunk of people who are going to read this book who it is either not for or not it's not for yet. I do not think there is any value in making high school kids read this book.
Nah, especially nowadays with their TikToks and their weird language and their
I mean, I think a high schooler can appreciate how it's well written. I think they can appreciate the style. I think you could teach a lot about like how to construct a scene, but I just think there's other books that are going to interest them more that can also teach that. I think college is probably the right age. Maybe if you must teach books, I don't. English teachers have their work cut out for them because, like, I hated every English class I ever took.
yeah.
I don't know what to say. And now I analyze books as a hobby. Um, so I'm basically doing English class again for fun. I don't know why they couldn't make this work for me. I don't know how they could have, but yeah. I guess I would say there's also going to be people then who are like, oh, it's a classic, and I want to read the classics because every year the New York Times publishes some snobby list about the best books ever written, and I've only read 2 of them.
Yeah.
I would say if you're reading it and you don't have significant sympathy for the old man,
Or the sea.
no, well, yeah, honestly, yeah. Like if you hear this description and you don't think there's any way you could ever understand why an 80-year-old fisherman would ever go on a suicidal quest to catch a fish he can't possibly reel in, it might just not be for you. And I think that's okay because it's weird. Like I wish I could tell you why I liked it. I've been talking for an hour and I feel like I haven't quite said what I wanted to say. You either get it or you don't, I think. And that's not like a if you don't get it, I'm not saying that you're dumb or anything like I got it because I'm smarter than you. I'm just saying like I think
I got it because I'm older than you.
there's a very good chance I got it because I'm older than you. But I was going to
You're
say
too
there's just
busy
something
streaming your weird NPC streams and streaming your various crimes, and I'm over here working a 9 to 5. Where's my subscriber base?
where's my subscriber? What does an old man have to do to get the kids to pay attention to him these days? Actually, that's a terrible sentence. Why would anyone ever want that? But no, I just think like there's a certain lived experience it's going to appeal to. I definitely do. I don't think it's toxically masculine, but I do think it's a little more on the masculine side. But I don't think you need to be a man or masculine identifying to get the point. I mean, I also think there's a human story in there about aging, which happens to all of us. But yeah, I just think if you don't have you're either going to really relate to this old man or you're not. And if you don't relate to him, then yeah, you're going to sit there wondering why he didn't cut that fish loose. And you're right, he should have, but I know why he didn't.
Remember,
I also
humans
would have made that stupid choice.
always act with 100% logic, and if they don't, it's a plot hole. You need to go on CinemaSins and you need to complain about it.
It's tough because I think it's valid to not get anything out of this, but and I don't know what I don't know that you need to get something out of it. I don't know if it's a book you need to learn how to like. I think it's perfectly fine to not like it. I would push back on certain criticisms again, like the toxic masculinity and the very simplistic, like why doesn't he cut the fish? Like why doesn't he let it go? I think if you can't figure out why he doesn't let it go, that's on you. I think it's pretty obvious why he doesn't let it go, or at the very least, there are several plausible, easily understandable emotional reasons for him to not let it go. But to not like it in spite of understanding that, I think is totally valid. So this has been a rare one. I think this might be the first school reading book we've done that I've actually liked and didn't want to make fun of.
Oh my god.
I can't think of another one. The only one I can remember off the top of my head is the Chocolate War.
No, you should definitely make fun of that. I wrote more about it and put it on the blog and then didn't tell anyone. So,
You've been trucking on the blog, I've noticed.
but don't forget, we also read Rocket Power, I think is what we read. I think that's.
We read. Oh, we should reveal that, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Neither of us read that book.
Yeah, so one of the Patreon bonus episodes was we covered. Well, this is a clue. What the fuck was it called? Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
We covered Lord of the Flies, and the patrons had a task of trying to figure out which one, if either of us, had actually read this. And I had a theory that a lot of people, before we even did it, or before we even picked who was going to read it and who wasn't, I was like, people are going to assume I read it and they're going to assume you didn't. But I do think a lot of eagle-eared patrons figured out pretty quickly.
We had some people who said that you read it.
Yeah, I talked about Rocket Power a lot.
We did
talking about Lord of
release
the
this
Flies.
episode as one of the bonuses that we released from the Patreon.
Oh, is this on the main feed?
Yeah, it's on the main feed now, too.
Good.
So,
Good.
and we didn't hear a lot of enthusiasm for it after that, so we were just kind of like, okay, well.
Yeah, we were kind of like, that's a concept we don't need to do again. But it was kind of fun to bullshit a book report. But yeah, neither one of us read Lord of the Flies. I still haven't read Lord of the Flies. I've never read Lord of the Flies. I have watched Rocket Power.
As we're well aware.
That was probably very apparent. I mean, that was the one thing people were probably sure of, is like, this guy has seen several episodes of Rocket Power. But yeah, this is just those crazy patrons. And, you know, heading up the top of the patrons is the yacht plan tier patron. Trying to buy us a yacht so that one day in our old age, we can engage in a suicidal battle of strength.
Hell yeah.
With a 15-foot marlin. We should... Wouldn't that be fun if that's how we die? Both of us in our 80s on a yacht trying to reel in a marlin. And like, it starts as a joke. We're like, oh, this is like that book we read a long time ago. And you're like, what book? Because your mind started to go. And like, it's like that book, Lord of the Rocket Powers. And we're reeling in this marlin, and like,
my mind is going and your body's going. All right, you're gonna be wearing a Depend because
no, this marlin took my left arm out of its socket and it's just floating in the water. That's definitely gone. I'm on my like 16th shoulder surgery. And yeah, we just die trying to reel in a marlin, and we can't remember why. And the people making that dream come true are Spooky Shy with a Y on TikTok, coughing all through this episode. John Bierce, actual author of The Mage Errant, The Rack, and an upcoming new project. Isekai Sensei Sama of the That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster podcast. And Jamie, the Gravy Man. The one book he is allowed to review is The Old Man in the Sea. Because I kind of want to know if I'm crazy for giving a school book 5 stars. I never thought this day would come. With that, I will not play the normal outro music. I will instead play a short clip, just enough to not get copyrighted, from Parov Stellar's song about The Old Man in the Sea. It is Electro Swing, and Nate does not know what that is. The thing, I know he won a
says his wife
Nobel
Mary
Prize.
said it was an accident. Hey, he got out before the Civil War, I think.
What?
Wait, no, sorry, I'm 100 years off.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, there's no way that's right.
Like, I'm literally looking at a picture of this man.
Yeah, I was like, wait, no, that can't be right. I'm like, oh yeah, 1961. Whoopsie.
Yeah, no, he won a Nobel Prize for Literature in 1950 something.
Hey, maybe he came back after that head wound in the 1800s. You don't know.